We all start with this basic bargain, right? We trade our time, our energy, our skills for money.
Right.
And the goal usually isn't really the money itself. It's about getting enough of it to buy something way more valuable.
Freedom.
Freedom,
Yeah.
exactly. Time, choices, flexibility, all of that.
That really is the heart of the whole financial independence movement. FIRE, it's this very calculated exchange.
Maximum effort now to buy maximum optionality later.
That's a good way to put it.
But, and here's the really painful trade-off we have to wrestle with today. What if that relentless chase for more money, for the highest salary, what if it's actually robbing you of the very thing you're trying to buy?
The time and the happiness.
Yeah. You might be making a fortune, but you're spending your life expectancy, on the altar of the quarterly bonus or the next big deal.
It's the classic golden handcuffs problem. The pay just keeps going up, but your actual life, your lifestyle, it keeps shrinking because the job just demands everything.
Everything. So you have to define what enough really means for you.
You do.
And that idea of enough, it leads us right to the big question for our deep dive today and for you listening. If a Nobel Prize-winning economist figured out that past a certain income level, let's say about $117,000 today, more money stops making you happier, like emotionally happier.
Right.
Would you still go after that huge salary? Or would you switch gears and focus on optimizing your life for freedom instead of just, maximizing your bank account?
And that question just changes the whole game. It forces you to measure success and in quality of life, not just dollars.
That's a total shift.
From accumulation to optimization.
It absolutely is. And that is our mission today. We're going to unpack a really specific, structured roadmap that's designed to help you get that millionaire mindset and use these very clear milestones, not just to get rich, but to get truly sustainably free so you can stop trading your life for a paycheck.
And our source for this deep dive is the roadmap laid out in the book, Millionaire Milestones, Simple Steps to 7 Figures.
Yeah.
It's incredibly practical.
Okay, so let's get into the source and the author. The book's by Sam Dogen. He's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author and the founder of that huge personal finance site, Financial Samurai.
And this is the key part. He's not some academic just looking at spreadsheets. His credibility comes from being in the most intense financial trenches you can imagine.
Right. He earned it.
That firsthand experience is what gives the book its authority. He started at these premier investment banks, Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse.
And the culture there wasn't just demanding.
No, it was all-encompassing. He talks about how you had to assimilate, look the part, live the part. It wasn't a job, it was your entire identity.
The firm came first.
Above everything.
And he tells some really great stories that bring that world to life. Like his manager in London, they called him Evil English.
Oh, yeah, the guy who looked like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
That's the one. Apparently, he was super stingy with praise, but really generous with, high-pressure demands and yelling at people.
And that just paints a picture of the kind of constant, competitive, sometimes toxic energy that really fuels that world.
And it was that pressure cooker environment, plus the shock of 9/11, which happened pretty early in his career.
Right.
That forced him to really question what he was doing. Was he just making rich people richer? And that led to this, primal fear of burnout.
So he made a plan.
A conscious plan to escape finance by the time he was 40.
He had the goal, but he realized there was no map, no step-by-step guide for high-income earners who wanted to get out early.
So he had to draw his own. And this is where that momentum principle, which we'll get into, really shines. Dogen hit his first big millionaire milestone by age 28.
Which is incredible.
Insanely young.
And it wasn't some lucky stock pick or a family trust fund or something.
No.
It was just consistent, you could almost say aggressive, discipline.
Yeah.
Even as his salary went up, he kept living this incredibly frugal life in New York City.
We're talking extreme frugality here. It's a big theme in the book. He saved over 50% of his first salary, which was, $40,000?
In New York City.
In New York. And he did it by sharing a tiny studio with a friend, which slashed his housing costs.
And he'd stay late at the office to get the free food from the cafeteria.
Right. After 7 p.m.
That saving rate. Plus, aggressive investing, maxing out the 401k, always asking for raises, putting every spare dollar into what he calls risk assets.
Stocks, real estate, that kind of thing.
That's what created that explosive growth so early on.
And the discipline, it paid off big time. He retired at 34, 6 years earlier than his goal.
And he pivoted to just writing and building Financial Samurai.
Mhm.
The fact that he was able to generate 6 figures a year in passive income pretty soon after that.
Well, it shows the map he drew for himself actually works.
And that's what the book is. It's a proven map for financial independence. That's not just about how much, but also how quickly and how securely.
Now, before we dive into phase one, just a quick note. If you appreciate these deep dives, where we cut through the noise and give you the absolute best insights from the world's best books, then you really need to be subscribed.
For sure.
Head over to Audible Books and subscribe to their channel. That way, you will not miss out on these captivating summaries that help you get informed, well, quickly and efficiently.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's jump into phase one. We're talking perspective, motivation, and defining that key idea, the happiness ceiling.
Let's start with some context. When we talk about becoming a millionaire, it can feel, I don't know, impossible.
Like it's just for lottery winners or tech founders?
Exactly. But we need to look at the real numbers. The sources say that in 2022, there were over 59 million millionaires in the world.
Which is about 1% of all adults.
Mm.
And UBS thinks that number is going to hit 86 million by 2027.
So it's statistically possible.
It is. But,
Yeah.
and this is a crucial point Dogen makes, especially for anyone listening in the U.S., you have to understand the difference between average wealth and median wealth.
Oh, this is such a huge point. According to the Fed, the average American household net worth is around $1.06 million.
So that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. But the median, the exact middle point, is only $193,000.
It's a massive difference, more than a 5-to-1 gap.
That just shows you where the wealth is really concentrated.
Right. With high earners, entrepreneurs, people who've owned homes for a long time. So the book basically asks you, do you want to be median, average, or above average?
Because the median person, statistically, is watching 3 hours of TV a day and doom scrolling on their phone.
Exactly. To get to freedom, you have to consciously reject that. You have to break from the herd.
The key thing here isn't the number itself, it's what the number buys. Dogen's goal wasn't just to have a pile of cash.
No, it was to generate 6 figures a year in passive income.
Forever.
Freedom now and forever. And that journey, it doesn't start with a spreadsheet. It starts with milestone 1, find your why. This is the engine. Before you do anything else, you have to actually write down your specific reasons for wanting wealth. And then you have to be tough and narrow it down to your top 3.
Why is that so important?
Because the path to 7 figures, especially if you're saving a lot, it involves real sacrifice.
Well,
It's not always easy.
right.
And if you don't have this clear, emotionally powerful picture of what you're doing it for, you're just not going to have the willpower to stick with it when things get tough.
The book gives some great examples of how wealth serves a purpose that's deeper. It's not just retire early.
No, it's very specific.
Let's take the family example. He frames it around the fact that you only have so much time with your kids. 9% of the time you'll ever spend with them is over by the time they're 19.
That puts a deadline on it, a very real one.
It really does.
Or think about the career example. Wealth is the ultimate career insurance. It's the power to say no to a terrible boss.
Or to walk away from a project you don't believe in.
Or to just switch to a lower paying job that you actually love, that gives you fulfillment.
And the health example is maybe the most important one. The ability to afford the best medical care, a private chef, a therapist,
Oh.
without ever having to worry about the cost.
These are real, tangible things that directly make your life better and longer.
So once you have your why, Dogen says you have to get clear on what millionaire even means. People throw the term around, but there are 3 really different flavors of it.
Right, and they get mixed up all the time.
So could you break down those 3 for us?
Sure. So first, you have having $1 million. Your net
Just
worth.
some benchmark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And realistically, $1 million, invested pretty conservatively, might generate, what, $30,000 to $50,000 a year in passive income.
So it's a security blanket, but it's not never work again money in most big cities.
Not at all. That brings us to the second tier, earning $1 million a year.
That's a whole different level.
It's a massive achievement. You're the top 0.1% of U.S. earners. But it usually requires incredible luck, a really long and demanding career, and often sacrificing your time and your health.
Which brings us back to our first question.
It does. And then there's the final, most extreme level.
Spending $1 million a year.
Right. To do that without eating into your capital, you need a net worth of at least $50 million, maybe more.
The point is that $1 million can feel like the finish line. But if you're thinking about, say, paying for college for 2 kids,
It can disappear pretty fast.
which is why the focus has to be on the passive income it generates, not the lump sum.
Always.
And that idea leads us right back to the happiness ceiling. If the goal isn't just maximum money, but optimized happiness, where's the sweet spot?
This is where we get into that fascinating research. The old benchmark was from a 2010 study by Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate.
The $75,000 number.
Right. Above that, your overall life satisfaction might go up, but your day-to-day emotional happiness, it just plateaued.
And if you adjust that $75,000 for inflation, as Dogen does, you get to about $117,000 in today's money.
For a decade, that was kind of the accepted wisdom. But the research has evolved.
It has. Kahneman did a follow-up study in 2023 with Matthew Killingsworth.
And this newer research found that for most people, happiness actually kept rising all the way up to $500,000 a year. It kind of blew up the old theory.
But there was a really important nuance in that new study, wasn't there?
Yes, and this is key for our listeners. It wasn't true for everyone. They found what they called an unhappy minority, about 15 to 20% of people.
And for that group.
For them, even though they were financially comfortable, more money above $100,000 a year didn't move the needle on happiness at all.
Because money wasn't the problem.
Exactly. The issues were things like depression, or bad relationships, or chronic pain. Things money can't fix.
So the study really confirms Dogen's point. Money doesn't fix you if you're fundamentally unhappy. It might just make you a wealthier, unhappy person.
Right. So Dogen takes all this data and comes up with his own ideal income target, the sweet spot for max happiness without max stress.
Okay, what's his number?
He suggests around $100,000 per adult in a lower cost of living place like the Midwest.
And on the coasts.
More like $250,000 per adult in a place like California or New York.
But let's talk about the trade-off. Getting to those numbers with a W-2 job, like being a managing director or an executive, it comes with huge costs.
The stress is just off the charts. You're managing tons of people, dealing with crazy volatility. You're always traveling. You're expected to be on call 24/7.
And the sources he cites show that CEOs and high-stress execs can actually lose 1 to 2 years of life expectancy just from chronic stress.
It's a direct cost, a biological cost.
So you look at the average person making, say, $117,000. They work their 40 hours, they have time to go to the gym, have dinner with their family.
Pursue a hobby.
Right. And you have to ask, is the executive lifestyle, with its huge paycheck, really better if it's costing you years of your life?
Time is the one thing you can't get back.
So Dogen's answer isn't to earn less, but to earn differently.
Exactly. Shift the balance. If you can increase the percentage of your income that comes from passive sources, dividends, rent, interest, your happiness and your sense of freedom just skyrockets.
Yeah. Because passive income buys you time. A high active income often demands it. And that distinction is the perfect way to get into phase 2. This is all about the fundamentals of growth, momentum and discipline, how to actually start making that shift.
Right. And the foundation for this whole thing is milestone 3. Harness the power of momentum.
He uses Newton's first law, which I love.
Inertia.
Yeah.
An object in motion stays in motion. If you can set up consistent, automatic saving and investing habits, that momentum just carries you forward.
So the trick is not to get freaked out by the goal of $1 million.
No, you break it down. You make it smaller, more motivating. You aim for $10,000 first, then $50,000, then $100,000.
And then you hit the big one, the key benchmark we really need to dig into, $250,000.
Yes, the $250,000 mark. Dogen calls it the financial crossover point. And understanding this is absolutely vital.
Okay, what happens at the crossover point?
It's the point where your portfolio, your investments, starts to regularly generate more money in a year than you can contribute yourself.
Even if you're maxing out your 401k. Let's slow down and break down the math on that. Why $250,000?
Okay, so historically, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% a year on average.
Right.
And the maximum you can put in a 401k right now is somewhere around $25,000 a year. So $250,000 is exactly 10 times that amount.
I see. 10% of $250,000 is $25,000.
Correct. So at that point, the market, in theory, is generating a return for you that's equal to the maximum amount you are sacrificing to save.
The machine starts fueling itself.
The compound growth officially overtakes your active saving.
That has to be such a huge psychological boost.
It's massive. And the book estimates that most people who are consistently maxing out their 401k will hit that $250,000 mark in about 11 years. And that's just from contributions, not even counting returns or an employer match.
That's a very reachable goal.
And the power it unlocks is just, it's staggering. He gives this example. Say you have a portfolio of just over $1 million,
Okay.
and it keeps growing at that 10% rate. In just 10 years, with no more money added, it grows to almost $2.75 million.
Wow.
Your initial contributions at that point only make up about 15% of the total value. The returns on your returns are doing almost all of the work. That's momentum.
I think hitting that $250,000 mark is also big because it's sort of the start of what people call coast fire.
Right.
Can you define that for us quickly?
Sure. Coast fire means your portfolio is big enough, maybe $250K, maybe $500K, that if you never contributed another penny, it should still grow enough on its own to fund a traditional retirement at 65.
You can just coast.
You can coast to the finish line. Sounds amazing, right?
It does. But Dogen has a big warning about that.
A very crucial one. He says, do not stop contributing just because you hit coast fire.
Why not?
Because it's not true financial independence.
Mm-hmm.
You still need a big taxable brokerage account that's generating income you can live on before you turn 59 and a half.
So you can actually quit your job when you want to, not when the government says you can touch your money.
Exactly. You have to keep building that taxable nut.
And that requires a ton of discipline, which is milestone 4. Embrace the joy of saving and investing. This is the hard part for most people. It means getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
His philosophy on this is really challenging. He says, if the amount of money you're saving each month doesn't hurt, you're not saving enough. Yeah. He compares it to getting braces on your teeth. It's this constant pressure. It's uncomfortable, but the end result is worth it.
And that's what he did, saving over half his income in New York by living with a roommate and eating free cafeteria food.
Most people would say that's impossible. But he shows that if your why is strong enough, you can figure out the how.
And that mindset is just, it's the total opposite of where most Americans are today.
Oh, yeah. The U.S. personal saving rate is down below 3.5% now. It used to be around 10% back in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
And when you look at what that 3.5% rate means, it's pretty bleak.
It is. At a 5% saving rate, it takes 19 years of work to save up for just 1 year of living expenses.
So becoming a millionaire becomes a total pipe dream.
For most people, yeah. They just aren't keeping enough of what they earn.
But he also points out that we can save. We have the capacity. During the peak of the COVID pandemic in April 2020.
The saving rate shot up to 33.8%.
Because people were scared. Necessity forced the behavior.
It proves that the capacity is there. It's a choice, a daily choice.
Which is why he argues you should focus on saving percentages, not dollar amounts.
Right. Because 20% or 50% automatically scales up as you get raises. It keeps the discipline in place as your income grows.
And this all leads to milestone 5, which is setting net worth targets based on your income.
It's a much better framework than just chasing a random number. The main goal is to have a net worth of 10 times your average gross salary by the time you're 40.
Hitting that is when you start to really feel free.
And the ultimate stretch goal for complete freedom is 20 times your average gross salary.
So if I make $100,000 a year, I'm shooting for $1 million in net worth by 40 to feel free and $2 million for complete freedom.
That's the target.
Why base it on income instead of expenses? A lot of the FIRE community focuses on expenses.
Because basing it on expenses encourages what he calls cheating. You could just slash your lifestyle to the bone, live on ramen noodles.
And declare yourself financially independent.
But you wouldn't have a big enough cushion to handle real life. Inflation, a new roof, a medical emergency. Targeting a multiple of your income forces you to build a much bigger, more resilient nest egg.
It shifts the focus from your temporary cash flow, which can disappear, to your permanent net worth.
Your net worth is your fortress. It provides security that a job never can.
That feeling of security, having a $1 million portfolio kicking off $50,000 a year in a safe account, that feels way more secure than most jobs.
A job can always go away. Your net worth, if you manage it right, is an insurance policy against chaos.
Okay, so we've got the fundamentals down. Now for phase 3, acceleration. How do we speed this whole process up?
This is where we get into strategic assets. Starting with milestone 6, accelerate your wealth with real estate.
The wealthy love real estate.
Overwhelmingly, for a few really powerful reasons.
Yeah.
Gives you shelter, it generates income.
And the two big ones, leverage and inflation.
It's the ultimate inflation hedge, especially with a fixed-rate mortgage. As everything else gets more expensive, the value of your house tends to go up.
But your mortgage payment stays the same, so your debt is actually shrinking in real dollars. It's this amazing inversion.
Which is a huge reason why the average homeowner is something like 40 times wealthier than the average renter.
And the cost of renting long-term is just... It's insane. The book shows a renter in New York could spend over $3.7 million on rent by the time they're 60.
Renters are always at the mercy of inflation. Homeowners are hedged against it.
Let's talk about the power of leverage. Dogen gives his own example of a condo he bought. He put down about $116,000.
And 12 years later, that property was worth $1.25 million.
So let's break down the math on that. To get that same return in the stock market without borrowing money,
You would have needed an annualized return of 22%.
that's just almost impossible.
It's nearly double the market average. Even Warren Buffett's return is under 20%.
So a mortgage lets a regular person get the kind of returns that even the best investors in the world can't achieve without leverage.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but,
Yeah.
you have to buy responsibly. You can't become house poor.
Which is where his 30-33 rule comes in.
Right. Rule number 1, have a 20% down payment or even more.
So you avoid PMI, that private mortgage insurance.
Which is just wasted money.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, keep your total monthly housing cost, your mortgage, taxes, insurance, to no more than 30% of your gross income.
Gotta have that buffer.
And rule number 3, the total value of the house should be no more than 3 times your annual household gross income.
Okay, I have to push back on that last one. For people on the coasts in San Francisco or New York, 3 times your income might not even buy a garage.
That's a fair challenge, and he addresses it.
Yeah.
He says it's a guideline for financial peace of mind. If you have to break that 3x rule because of where you live.
Then you have to overcompensate somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to put way more than 20% down, and you have to be super aggressive about keeping your monthly payments well under that 30% threshold. You're basically trading some financial peace for location.
You just have to do it with your eyes wide open.
And a huge emergency fund.
Speaking of the market, the book touches on that huge recent settlement against the National Association of Realtors.
The NAR settlement. Yeah, this is a really big deal.
So what's the bottom line for buyers and sellers?
It's simple. Commissions, which used to be stuck at around 5 or 6%, are now negotiable. They're expected to come down to maybe 2 or 3%.
So you have leverage now.
You have leverage you never had before. If you're selling, you can negotiate a lower rate. If you're buying, you can ask your agent for a rebate. Just being aware of this shift can save you thousands of dollars.
And beyond your main home, Dogen has this ambitious goal for a rental portfolio.
The one property for each family member plus one goal.
So for a family of 4, that's the main house plus 4 rental properties.
Yep. And that portfolio creates this semi-passive income stream that grows with inflation.
Plus, it provides security and legacy. It's career insurance for your kids. It's housing flexibility.
It's this massive source of intergenerational security. No one in your family has to worry about being homeless.
But that takes time to manage. Which leads us to the other big accelerator of wealth. Milestone 7, win big with entrepreneurship.
If real estate is the steady hedge, entrepreneurship is the rocket fuel.
We know the richest people in the world are founders, Bezos, Gates.
And the second richest are the people who invested in them. Buffett, Ken Griffin.
But that scale is so intimidating, most of us aren't going to build the next Amazon.
And that's his core insight here. Think small to get big. Don't try to invent something totally new. Just take something that already exists and make it better.
Use your own unique experience.
Exactly. That's what he did with Financial Samurai. There were other finance sites, but they were all giving generic advice.
From people who'd never actually worked in finance.
Right. He filled that gap by giving an insider's perspective. He leveraged his EET, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
This business wasn't new, it was just better, more credible.
And that small business now gets 1 million page views a month.
It's amazing. And it's essential because most people have only one income stream, their job.
While spending 21 hours a week watching TV or scrolling on their phone.
And Dogen's challenge is to just divert that time over 1,000 hours a year into building a side business.
Because that's how you build real wealth. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. You have to diversify.
So let's talk about the choice every entrepreneur has to make. He tells this great story about a discussion at a poker table.
The classic dilemma. Would you rather have $10,000 a month for life, indexed to inflation, working only a few hours a day, that's the lifestyle business, or make minimum wage, work 18 hours a day for 2 years for a 25% chance at a huge $10 million payout, the big payout?
And the poker players, being gamblers, they all chose the big payout.
Most of them did. But then one guy lost a big hand, got all grumpy.
And suddenly the lifestyle business didn't sound so bad.
Exactly. It just validated the underrated value of freedom and flexibility. The goal isn't always to build $1 billion empire.
Sometimes the goal is just to have the time and autonomy to live your life. To be a stay-at-home parent in an expensive city, that's a different kind of wealth.
And for people who like that idea but are scared to start, he gives them a low-risk framework, the 333 framework.
Okay, let's break that down.
First, you work on your business for 3 years when you keep your day job. Use that W-2 income as your safety net.
Then step 2 is the benchmark. Grow your business's net profit until it covers at least 30% of your living expenses.
That 30% is your real safety net. If you got laid off tomorrow, you wouldn't be starting from zero. It reduces the fear.
And the third step, once you hit that 30% mark,
You take a calculated leap. You go all in on your business for 3 years. That's enough time to give it a real shot. If it fails after 3 years of full-time effort, you can always go back to your old career.
you've mitigated the risk. And from a wealth building perspective, it's a huge accelerator. If you own a business that makes $100,000 in profit,
And it's valued at a 10x multiple, you've just created $1 million asset.
every dollar of profit becomes $10 of net worth.
It completely changes how you think. You're not an employee anymore, you're an owner.
Okay, we have covered the entire roadmap. Perspective, discipline, acceleration. Let's synthesize this for everyone listening.
The whole journey really rests on 3 pillars. First, perspective and purpose. You have to know your why, and you have to target an income that maximizes happiness, not just dollars.
Second, discipline and momentum. You have to embrace a high saving rate, one that actually hurts a little, and get to that $250,000 crossover point where your money starts working for you.
And third, strategic acceleration. You use real estate as your inflation hedge and entrepreneurship as your value booster using those safe frameworks we talked about.
Before we go, we have to come back to that warning Dogen gives. Being a millionaire does not solve all your problems.
It can amplify them. He talks about that tech founder who's worth $100 million but feels like a failure because his friends are billionaires.
That upward comparison is a trap. The next summit always beckons.
You have to be so vigilant against what he calls financial landmines. Not just greed, but things like underestimating your taxes or assuming a high income will last forever.
And the strain it can put on relationships with your kids, with your spouse. He talks about how important it is for couples to maintain some financial independence from each other.
Ultimately, once you have enough money, the game has to change. The focus shifts from accumulation to spending, giving, legacy.
It's not about competing on your bank balance anymore. It's about competing on time and freedom.
That is the ultimate prize.
And that's the perfect place to end. You can, in theory, always make another dollar. You can never, ever make another minute of time. So now that you have this map to financial security, the question is, what metric will you choose to measure your true wealth? Will it be your net worth, or will it be the number of minutes you fully own every single week?
We hope you'll reflect on those final themes. Adopt that prosperous mindset, get on the right side of growth, live a life that's true to your values, and use the freedom you build to leave a meaningful legacy.
Thank you for joining this deep dive into Millionaire Milestones. We hope this gives you the clarity and the motivation to take control of your financial destiny and find the freedom you deserve. Until next time.